All right, everyone, we got about 5 stories to get into today dealing with Switch and Switch 2. Well, actually, just Switch 2. Although, one of the stories actually deals with the fact that it is the 10th anniversary of the late Satoru Iwata's passing. You guys know how much he meant to my gaming life, obviously, dating pretty much all the way back to when I was a kid, helping Nintendo, Pokemon, HAL, and everyone else make video games, obviously rising to become the CEO of Nintendo. We all know that he passed away from cancer back in 2015, and some of his very, very, very best friends in the industry have made some commemorative statements 10 years on today. One of those being Masahiro Sakurai, who also went on to detail obviously, it being like the 22nd anniversary of the original Kirby's Air Ride and getting into some new details. This is what's exciting here about Kirby Air Riders. So we finally have our first little bit of news on that. So I'm really excited for that. We got to dive in as well on Nintendo actually finally going to fans for feedback on game key cards. I find that to be really interesting. Nintendo does pay attention to fan feedback, but usually only through their official methods. Beyond all of that, one of the largest Nintendo Switch piracy websites in the world has been taken out by the FBI. That's how serious all of this is. But we're not done there because we have some good news as well about the KillSwitch situation in regards to Dbrand. They released their update today. It is July 10th, or well, now the 11th. They promised on July 10th they would have an update. They did provide one, and it's really good news all around for anyone looking to get your hands on a Dbrand KillSwitch like I have. And setting that aside, we also have what appears to be, it's just a rumor, but rumored great news for the upcoming 3D Mario game that all of us are hoping comes sooner than later, and it sounds like it's probably going to come sooner rather than later, even though Donkey Kong Bonanza is on the doorsteps here. Also, this is not a story in this video, but talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza, just want to remind me, the review embargo for Donkey Kong Bonanza is actually on the 16th. So it is Wednesday, the day before it comes out. So we'll just have to wait and see, obviously, what it ends up reviewing and where the aggregate scores are at and what people who are playing it right now have to say. But yes, review embargoes are on the 16th in the morning. So look forward to that. We'll obviously be covering that and going over all of that on the Nintendo Byte podcast on Wednesday. We actually have a special Donkey Kong Bonanza segment planned for the episode next week, so that's going to be really exciting. Now, setting all of that aside, grabbing this and chucking it away, we got to remind everyone we're giving away 5 copies of Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's right. To enter, all you got to do is go down to the pinned comment in the description. We'll be announcing the 5 winners hopefully on the 15th. I do give them 24 hours to get back to me via email. We're hoping to have all 5 announced on July 15th. So that's really exciting. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the news here. First, starting with this interview from Masahiro Sakurai. He commemorated Kirby's Air Ride's 22nd anniversary and 10 years since the passing of Satoru Iwata. So he put this all on X, and we're going to rely on the translations on this website. So July 11, 2025 is an important date for game director and designer Masahiro Sakurai. The 22nd anniversary of Kirby's Air Ride Japan's release coincides with the 10th anniversary of former Nintendo president Satoru Iwata passing. Sakurai reminisced on both events and shared some of his thoughts in a recent X post. So, today was the Japanese release date for Kirby's Air Ride on the GameCube. It is now its 22nd anniversary. At the same time, it is also the anniversary of Iwata's passing in 2015. 10 years have passed since then. Iwata and I were about 10 years apart in age. I'll be catching up to him in age now, won't I? Right now, I'm pouring my heart into making Kirby Air Riders. It's shaping up to be something great. Oh, that's some good news there. You know, yeah, I get it. He's like going to hype up his own game, but everything he touches does turn out to usually be pretty great. So he seems excited. And he's pouring his heart into it, which is what you want to hear. Fully dedicated to it. Now, prior to joining Nintendo, Satoru Iwata was dividing his time between his responsibilities as a Tokyo Institute of Technology student and a part-time programmer gig at HAL Laboratory, a Japanese video game studio that would become known for its Mother and Kirby franchises. This is where Iwata first met Sakurai, who would go on to create Kirby and make his debut as a director with Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy. Iwata and Sakurai would become close friends, providing advice and help to each other while working at HAL Laboratory and eventually Nintendo. Being 11 years younger than Iwata, Sakurai cannot help but notice that he is almost the same age as his friend when he passed away. To end his post on a lighter note, Sakurai assures fans he's working hard to ensure the upcoming Kirby Air Riders will be great. Kirby Air Riders is set to release sometime in 2025 for Switch 2, and I suspect that the next Nintendo Direct, which Beat 'em Ups is still saying is happening this month. We should probably hear, hopefully, a release date there and at least see the game, if nothing else. So, but yeah, this is kind of a bittersweet thing where, it's the 22nd anniversary of Kirby's Air Ride, but that almost feels like secondary here when we're talking about the passing of such a great man and visionary in this industry, in Satoru Iwata. Obviously, I'm hoping he's rested in peace and things are going well if there is another side to this universe that we live in. And besides that, obviously, hearing that he's pouring his heart into Kirby Air Riders, kind of probably a bittersweet moment having those anniversaries line up in addition to another Kirby Air Riders coming out. I'm kind of starting to think maybe he wanted to make another Kirby Air Riders, maybe to even honor Iwata, given that he's obviously honoring the anniversary of the game and his death today. So take that for what you will. Obviously, he's not going to get to say a whole lot about the game right now because Nintendo didn't give him permission to. Wait for the Direct. Look, though, this isn't the only person honoring Iwata today. There's been lots of messages across the industry. And while I could share Jeff Keighley and other people in the industry's words, I'm actually just going to end it here with Satoru Iwata's friend, Reggie Fils-Aimé. This July 11th marks the 10th year anniversary of Satoru Iwata's passing. I still think of him nearly every day. Together, we put a lot of smiles on people's faces. And look, we could show a bunch more comments, but Sakurai and Reggie were two of Satoru Iwata's actual personal close friends. So I think sticking to just those two words on this, along with the jubilation of hearing, hey, Kirby Air Riders is going well, is what we need in today's world. Now, kind of switching gears here. Look, this is either a positive story or a negative story, depending on how you view things. But we're on Kotaku over here, and it says major Nintendo Switch piracy website was seized by the FBI. NSW2U was a popular place for illegally downloading Switch ROMs, and I do kind of like this thumbnail here. Anyways, one of the biggest Nintendo Switch piracy sites around has been taken down by the FBI as part of a law enforcement operation on Thursday. NSW2U was one of the better known repositories for Switch ROMs online, allowing people to play games on hacked Switches or emulators on PC without legally purchasing the game themselves. This domain has been seized by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in accordance with a seizure warrant issued pursuant of 18 U.S.C. 2323, issued by the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia as part of a law enforcement operation and action by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Reads a notice now posted on the site when you visit the URL. It says the FIOD, a Dutch agency that investigates financial crimes in the Netherlands, was also involved. According to the users on the Switch Piracy subreddit, the site was still active earlier today, with many claiming to have downloaded games within the last few hours. NSW2U sites were added to the EU piracy watch list back in May of this year. The FBI and Nintendo did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Mario Maker has been cracking down on Switch piracy over the last few years, including taking legal action against the makers of popular Yuzu emulator last year that let players run Switch games on PC and PC gaming handhelds like Valve's Steam Deck. Nintendo also has been pursuing litigation against smaller sites that host ROM downloads for older systems and the makers of third-party devices designed to help players circumvent Switch copyright protections. MIG Switch, anyone? The original Switch was hacked early in its life, and ROMs for its top-selling games like Tears of the Kingdom have proliferated online in recent years. That's led to some speculation that Nintendo has gone to extra lengths to keep Switch 2 locked down tight. Players using unauthorized SD cards for storing multiple Switch 1 ROMs have already begun finding their new Switch 2 consoles banned. Again, that's the MIG Switch. This is obviously a big deal. It was coordinated, it seems, between the FBI and Netherlands and people in Europe. Look, piracy is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do with your time, your games, or whatever the hell you're thinking of doing out there. What I will say is, obviously, beyond any shadow of any reasonable doubt, we know that distributing and downloading, but especially distributing ROM files on the internet, is illegal. And the laws are not likely to change about that pretty much ever. So the fact that I even knew what that website was, I've actually heard of that website, and I don't even pirate Nintendo games or any games for that matter. It really brings to light that that website was just kind of running rampant for many, many years unchecked. That is no longer the case. Whether or not there's going to be any fines, lawsuits, or anything else that come out of this, we don't know. But the FBI and obviously people in Europe have come together to agree this website should not be online. So we'll see if any further actions stem from that. Now, this is one that I think a lot of us can be at least a little bit hopeful for. I'm not really sure what we're hoping for as a result, but Nintendo is sending out surveys to some of their users, in this case, just in Japan, but this could expand elsewhere, for feedback on Switch 2 game keycards. This is according to Nintendo Soup over here, and it seems that Nintendo has sent out surveys to some customers to seek feedback on Nintendo Switch 2 game keycards. Currently, the surveys have been sent out only in Japan, so it's possible that they will be sent out to other regions in the future. This goes to show that the company is aware of the negative sentiment surrounding game keycards online and will take into consideration feedback from the surveys in the future. Game keycards are that new type of physical media introduced to the Switch 2. They have been controversial because game keycards only contain a key, a software license, and it does not contain game data, unlike game cards. This means that the game must be downloaded into the internal memory or a microSD express card before downloading. Now, I don't know what questions the survey has said. I've been trying to find out. I still have not been able to find what exactly is being asked on the survey, but it is a survey that's directly about nothing but game key cards. So it's probably asking a wide array of questions like, do you own any? What are your thoughts on this? Yada, yada. Do you prefer physical versus key cards or whatever? I imagine those are sort of the general questions on there. Maybe there's some more specified ones, but it is good that Nintendo is seeking feedback because look, a lot of people, whether right or wrong, it's kind of up to you individually, blame Nintendo for game key cards and third parties using them. Maybe the feedback is so negative on these surveys. Like, this is the way to get your feedback to Nintendo, not the screaming online, but when they send out these surveys, maybe the feedback is so negative on them that they end up just not making them anymore, which forces publishers to be either digital only or to use 64 gigabyte cartridges, as far as we're aware anyways. Or maybe this makes Nintendo consider making other sizes of cartridges. I don't really know what the end result of this is going to be, and maybe absolutely nothing changes, and maybe the Japanese audience doesn't even give a crap about game key cards and doesn't think it's a big deal. But yeah, I'm actually kind of curious if anything ever comes from these surveys, and I appreciate Nintendo's at least seeking some more official feedback rather than just listening to noise on the internet. The best way to know how your customers feel about game keycards is to actually ask them directly instead of just relying on internet sentiment where you don't even know if the people talking own Switch 2s or give a shit about the company. They could just be out there to, spew venom and they never were going to buy anything. Well, go to your actual customers that own the damn thing and ask them what they think. I think that's the only way to get reliable, useful feedback. Now, one thing that we've been worried about since Donkey Kong Bonanza's interview yesterday is that, hey, the entire team, Odyssey team, made this game, right? That's what we were told. The Odyssey team made this game. So if that's the case, man, is 3D Mario years away? Well, according to Reese Riley, aka Kiwi Talks, who is known in the industry for doing thousands of game developer interviews, no, he's pretty adamant about this being a separate team. What are we talking about? So Reese Riley here responded to this Nintendo Everything, original was a Switch 1 game, blah, 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 article. And he says, more and more info is coming out suggesting I was right regarding the split from the Odyssey team. I very rarely provide inside reporting. I am a game dev interviewer predominantly. So if I provide intel, I will not do it unless I am hugely confident I am right. I spent years building up my reputation and building rapport with devs, and I wouldn't throw it all away on some baseless rumors for clout. That's just dumb. 3D Mario fans need not worry. It's coming. So just relax and enjoy other games in the interim. And this is to calm down people that think the game is several years away. Some people still stand by the fact that it's a separate team or a split off team, or it is the Odyssey team, but it's not the whole Odyssey team. This guy says, I hope this means DK is more of a permanent home again. Also really hoping that you were right regarding Kremlin's returning 1 week to go. Says, yeah, I'm hoping so. I don't know if this is an ounce off or if there's a permanent team. I hope I am right too. I will look like an absolute moron if I am wrong about the Kremlins. I will be taking a serious L. My source is a good guy though, so I trust him. And his source did tell him about Kremlins returning. We've seen some faint evidence of like Kremlin skeletons, but we haven't seen like the full Kremlins in the game yet. It could just be hidden and being saved. But yeah, this is also one of those. We really want this to be true. We really want Donkey Kong to have its own team rather than just sharing the Mario team, because that also means more Donkey Kong games in the future. So yeah. I actually think that I don't know. I can't say that I think he's right. I'm just going to say I hope that he's right. I hope that Reese Riley in this case is correct and his sources are correct in this. And it is just a split off, a brand new team that maybe exists inside EPD8 that is dedicated to just making Donkey Kong. That would be amazing. And that would also mean 3D Mario is probably still on track for next year. Now, that being said, we have this last story, and it's about the Dbrand KillSwitch. If you guys remember, we've been covering this. We covered the news as well with the Vector situation, with Genki as well, another premium accessory maker for Switch 2. And look, I don't have any updates on the Genki situation. I do have a bunch of their accessories here, but none of their Switch 2 specific ones because, look, they're reworking that stuff. And until they rework it, I'm not going to have it on hand. But this one's a big deal to me because Dbrand sponsored me. It's one reason why I have this on hand. I had it before all of you, and there's an issue with it. An issue we talked about in regards to the design of these Joy-Con grips and how it has this lip here. And when it's attached, especially on the right Joy-Con, somehow more than the left, watch what happens. It just falls off. If you hold it by just the Joy-Con, it falls off. Now, I didn't notice this, obviously, or I would have pointed this out to them before I ever ran an ad for Dbrand, because I don't hold my Switch 2 that way. I hold it like this. My hands are underneath it. There's always a hand underneath it. My hand, like I never hold it by a single Joy-Con unless I'm holding it like this or like this. But I never hold it flat like this and have that happen. So it was never a concern for me, and I didn't know about it till I saw it happening and all the complaints came online. And then I'm like, well, let me try holding my Switch like that. And yeah, sure enough, it does happen on the right one. It doesn't happen really on the left one for me unless I shake the system, but it can happen. So look, obviously, they didn't respond to it very kindly, and then they did a very lengthy post talking about what they're going to do, and now we have an update because July 10th has passed. They promised an update on July 10th, and everything is good. In fact, they have images showing how good everything is, including fixing problems they didn't promise they were going to fix in the first place. I'm really excited about this, and as soon as I get the refined versions on hand to be able to test it firsthand, I'm comfortable moving forward with the rest of my Dbrand sponsorship. I still owe them a couple more ads, but I said, hey, I'm going to be on pause until I know everything is fixed because I don't want to continue to push your premium product if I can't confidently tell people that this is actually worth your money. So I'm waiting for the new stuff to arrive on hand, but we have an update. Joy-Con detachment update part 3. We fixed it. Hi, Reddit. Quick reminder of where we left off on our last update. We were testing 2 solutions to address the Joy-Con detachment issue. Solution 1 was a refined version of the current Joy-Con grip design featuring a thinner retaining lip. This solution would offer a marked improvement over not only the bad out-of-tolerance retaining lip that gave rise to this issue, but a noticeable improvement over even the good stock. Solution 2, completely redesigned Joy-Con grip intended to eliminate the detachment issue altogether. The catch was that it was unlikely to be mass producible. Despite the risk of Solution 2, we moved forward with retooling one of our mass production tools, aiming to do a production trial on July 10th. Today is July 10th. It's the 11th today. And we've got good news. It worked. And then they show it shaking. Watch this. Watch it. They attach the Joy-Cons and they show the right and the left. Look at it. Look what he does. Just reefs on this thing. Look at that. Look at that. I can't do that. I can't do that with mine right now. That's awesome. And then he does it with the other Joy-Cons. So this new method they created makes it just as strong as it is without their grip. That's awesome. So pretty soon you'll be able to hold your Switch 2 as wrong as you want without any detachment. In all seriousness, now that the solution has been validated in a production environment, we're in the process of copying the Solution 2 modification to every other mold in our mass production library. Also, since solution number 2 doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, we've given it a name. Joy Lock. By early next week, we'll share a production schedule that outlines when you'll be able to claim your free Joy Lock replacements when you can expect them to ship. As we've mentioned in various replies across the subreddit, we'll also be addressing the issue of one-handed undocking on our dock adapter. Along with every Joy Lock replacement, we'll be sending out a silicone friction pad designed to keep the dock adapter snugly seated in the OEM dock. Of course, we'll also include instructions on where to install them. Below are 2 clips demonstrating the before and after. So you've already seen this before one. It's been looping here. This is what sometimes happens if you try to one hand take it. It takes the whole dock accessory up. And this is what happens after you put on those silicone pads. See, it just removes. It literally just goes. Now, I've looked a couple times. His finger does sort of touch the top, but that shouldn't matter because even as it touches the top, it could still drag this whole accessory up. The point is the accessory stays there. So it looks like one-handed undocking is definitely doable with these silicone pads that they're going to be including. Now, any unshipped orders in all new production will include both the Joy Lock grips in the box and the pre-installed friction pads on the dock adapter. For those who have already received their order, like me, or have it currently in transit, expect an email early next week with further details on redemption and shipment timing. No action is required on your end to determine eligibility. We'll be emailing everyone who's either received their Switch 2 KillSwitch or had it shipped. For those who have not yet had their pre-order ship, expect an email at the same time detailing when to expect your shipment. As a reminder, this shipment will include all corrected stock in the box. Side note, we've also worked with our cable manufacturer to introduce a higher stringency on filtering out lemons, usually caused by misaligned traces or bad pins, prior to the consumers receiving the dock adapter. While our current lemon rate is hovering around the industry standard of 0.5%, this higher stringency should bring the lemon rate on unshipped orders an order of magnitude lower to about 0.05%. If you've received a lemon, let us know at the robots@dbrand.com email. We'll get a replacement shipped out. They also said a few more things. This person brought up, I don't mean to be that guy, but one question. What about the skin around the charging port to prevent scratching? Is that still happening? And he says, it'll be included for free with all replacement orders. You can get a preview of the included dock adapter buffer here. And there you go. That's just like approval of like, you know, their instructions to install. So the point is that, yes, they are making everything right by the consumer. That's what we want to see, is a company like Dbrand messed up and they're making everything right. And so hopefully I'll get all this stuff on hand by the end of the month and be able to confidently assure you guys that this KillSwitch stuff is great. Obviously, I'd like to say if you already bought a KillSwitch or bought it off my recommendation or my ads, you know, make sure you pay attention to your inboxes, get your replacement parts. And if a lot of you are waiting just in this wait and see game, because it is a premium accessory, to see if, hey, when I go hands-on, is it actually better? Yeah, I understand. You'll know that I think it's better once we run those Dbrand ads, where I'll probably talk about it on a live stream or something as well when they arrive. I do have a second set of Joy-Con, by the way, so I can show like a right Joy-Con having the original one on, and I can show a right Joy-Con having the new one on, so you can see the difference. So that's really cool that I'm able to do that as well, thanks to having an extra set of Joy-Con. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think about this all down in the comments below. I am Nathaniel Rumpleljans from Nintendo Prime. There will be no live stream tonight. I'm taking Yulia, my fiance, my lovely fiance, to a concert tonight because she's never been to one, and it's one of her favorite artists, so it's going to be a good time. And I probably won't be live streaming tomorrow either because tomorrow's her actual birthday. We're probably going to go out with some friends, but either way, thank you guys for being here, and I'll catch you all in the next video.